You are listening to Nerd Best Friends, a podcast that covers the nerdy conversations you're already having, or wish you could. It's the nerdiest thing you'll do this week.
This is Analese.
This is Rob.
And we are your nerd best friends.
It's season 5, and because every great hero needs a furry, scaly, or magical best friend, let's talk fictional pets. This is Nerd Best Friends, where we celebrate the conversations you're already having or wish you were. We're your nerdy companions on a quest through cosplay, comics, D&D drama, pop culture, chaos, and all things wonderfully weird. If you're loving the ride, hit subscribe, follow, or share this episode with your fellow nerds, because the algorithm needs a little nudge from the nerd herd. Let's make season 5 our nerdiest adventure yet.
Hey, Rob, it's season 5.
Season 5. Started from the bottom, now we're here, I guess.
I mean, I don't know.
The seasons they encompass a year. So, this is year 5.
Yeah. We started in 2021, going into 2022, and we're going into 2026. Yeah.
Think of how fresh-faced and young we were.
Not much different than right now, to be honest.
Yeah, probably not.
5 years is a good typical. You know what I think about? Andrew was 12.
Yes,
the first time he guested
on
there.
Tell his little voice apart from mine.
And now when he's on the show, it's
we had
wild.
An episode during the summer that he was on. It was the Superman episode.
Yes.
And I was listening to clips from it, and I thought, oh my gosh, the only person who's going to be able to tell his voice apart from mine is his mother. And she listened to the episode. And she's like, I couldn't tell you guys apart. I didn't know who was talking. I'm like, oh, that's it, kid. You're off.
It's happening. It's happening. Now everything has to be visual, so we know it's you or Andrew talking.
What an upgrade from where we, if you do think about that, 5 years ago, we were just kind of recording into whatever.
Zoom. Yeah, we were using Zoom, I think. Good. And we were living in the same city at the time, and we were still using Zoom because of the work and the pandemic. Born out of the pandemic, and now here we are, season 5, and we kick off Nerd Best Friends season 5 with this episode 72, and we're starting the season strong with one of our favorite types of episodes, a top 5 episode. In this case, top 5 fictional pets.
It's super fun, right? It was a great idea. It's a cute idea, but also it kind of makes you think of some of those tropes in fiction. For me, I'm like, wait a minute, everything has some dumb pet in it.
Yeah.
So it's well, which ones were the dumb pets and which ones were the cool ones?
And for the record, for our listeners, we went any type of fictional pet. Could be a book, could be a movie, could be a comic book, could be anything in pop culture or not.
I think we'll have a good spread. Of all of those different genres.
And before we get to that, let's kick off the season with our first set of nerd mail.
Nerd mail.
Okay, we have 2 pieces of nerd mail that came to us over our summer episodes. And what a summer we had, by the way. We had 6 new episodes about all of our summer adventures, and then we did some nerdnostalgia episodes to bring back some of the things that we had done over the course of the first 4 seasons. And within that, we got 2 pieces of nerd mail from Patreon subscriber and podcast supporter, Ismail. So I want to talk about the first one, because first one was huge. When we had Andrew on the show and we were talking about the Superman movie, we were going over characters. And talking about those characters, we all mentioned that the engineer was new to all of us, and none of us were really sure if that was a new character that was created for this installment of Superman or not. And Ismail came in with the knowledge. I'm going to read to you what he wrote. He said, the engineer was created by Warren Ellis in Stormwatch, which he recommends, and then used in The Authority by Ellis and Mark Miller, which he highly recommends. A movie about authority is in the pipeline of this new gun version of the DCU.
Super interesting, right? That's some deep knowledge. I have had lots of conversations with listener Ish. He used to work at our comic book store. When I was probably in college, going and picking up comics every Wednesday, he worked there. And I have no memory of him at all, but we started making that connection, and he's like, yeah, I work at the comic book store. So he's got that comic book knowledge. And so, but also very interesting choice that James Gunn would put this character into a Superman story, which is not at all a mainstream Superman villain, nor really a DC Justice League villain at all. But it might be one of those things, like he mentions, that pipeline, like, oh, we're just going to put a little sprinkle of the extended universe into the movie to get people ready for it. I have not read the comics yet. They're sitting in my queue on in Hoopla. Both of them are ready to go. They're big. They're beefy. They're beefy issues because it's like a whole collection of like 12 issues for each of them. So a little intimidating, but I will get to them for sure.
Well, I'm going to wait for your recommendation on whether or not you think I would like reading it. So when you get to it, I can't wait to hear about it because the engineer is a super interesting character to
You know who else
consider.
is a super interesting character? Warren Ellis. Don't read a lot of Warren Ellis's book. Very hyper violent and interesting. So yes, I'm going to give it a chance and I'll let you know how it goes.
Speaking of that pipeline and what we talked about in that Superman episode is how James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy also kind of pieced together some folks or characters who were
for sure
a little avant-garde, if you will, or not well noticed and brought them to the mainstream through those very popular movies.
Mm-hmm.
So he's obviously really well read in the comics and has very strategically over the years chosen what characters to introduce in these films.
And that's why I'm so excited about this new direction is because when it was Zack Snyder, his whole thing was like, I'm changing everything you think you know about the heroes. And it's like, that's not why I go to a hero. I want to see everything I love about the heroes.
Right. Or make me love something I didn't know about.
That too, right? Yeah, but instead it's like, and that would be the case if you really love dark, gritty, if like you thought 300 was a super cool movie, man, do I have a Batman for you? But it's like,
Well, listener Ishmael, dropping the knowledge. Thank you for those comic recommendations.
So listener Ishmael is a very active listener. He's just the kind of listener we want because he'll listen to the episode and he's like, I got to share this thought with the nerds. And so take an example from listener Ish. He has our second nerd mail of the episode today as well. He wrote in to say, "Bummed I missed the this was the Nerdnostalgia Superman Nerdnostalgia episode where we replayed our first. Was that season 2?
I think it's season 1 we did Superman.
Season 1 we did Superman. We
Maybe
started
not.
off strong.
No, I think we did Batman season 1. That came from season 2.
I think it was season 2. So over the summer, we played the replay. He said, bummed I missed this episode the first time out. Would have loved to hear your thoughts on Superman theme songs. My top is the Fleischer cartoon with the narration. And then, of course, the John Williams March. And I can't believe we never talked about this in the podcast. That Fleischer cartoon is amazing. It's so good. It's one of those ones you would watch on like Nick at Night or these replays on, Sunday afternoon when there was just like TV. And that's where it's like, look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. And it was very much done as like a radio drama and then like laid on animation on top of it. But it's got that very like old timey radio sound of the Superman theme song. Right. And it's all like, it is one of those ones because it's like a lot of them. You could just over it. You could be like Superman, 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 like as it's going. Wait a minute. I need to like get a little taste of it. Superman, Superman, Superman. It's that one.
Okay. Maybe I have heard it.
Superman. It's that one. But they don't say Superman. It's all instrumental. But that's what I love about like the John Williams song too, because we make up words to that one as well. That's probably my favorite one because that's the one I'll like sing when I'm around the house and be like, much more than a man, Superman, 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 Superman. Right? And it's just goofy and I love it.
I mean, the John Williams March obviously is iconic and has been around forever. And we talked about how beautifully the new film played with that theme. Yes. You heard it in electric guitar. You heard it in a choral theme. You heard it in birds tweeting, like whatever. They did a really good job of squirrel sounds. I don't know.
Even the squirrel got a John Williams background.
Got a little bit of that John Williams March. To me, that Superman March is iconic as like the Darth Vader March.
Yes.
I mean, they're equal.
Yes, that is, I mean, I would say that song holds up way better. Like the music of the original Superman movie holds up way better than the movies do.
100%.
You listen to that, I'll listen to that theme and I'm like, man, that's awesome. Superman's so cool. And then you go watch those movies, you're like, wow, this movie's cheesy.
This movie's not great.
No.
But that theme comes in and you're like, oh yeah, it's time for Superman.
Yeah, and it's that example
when
of
it's
just
used well.
Pouring the money and investment into that idea of the blockbuster.
Well, if I'm not as familiar with the other themes, although what you just described does sound familiar because, we all watch those Saturday morning cartoons or Nick at Night cartoons.
Yeah, they'd be on
whenever we saw them. But if I had to choose a favorite Ismail, I would choose the John Williams March, but favorable to the films more than I am the television shows.
Yeah, absolutely. He picked the top two for sure. And the John Williams one, like I saw, like that's the one that sticks in my head the most. I'm sure that the Superman cartoon from like the late 90s, early 2000s probably had a really good theme song too, but if I heard it, I'd probably be like, oh yeah, that's really good. But it doesn't pop into my head like the other ones, right?
Yeah. Well, Ismail, thank you for that nerd mail. And anyone else that wants to send us a message, catch us DMs on our social media at Nerd Best Friends, Blue Sky, NBF Podcast, or email podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. Let's talk pets. Okay, I did 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on our document. For me, they are kind of in countdown order. What about you?
Yeah, same thing. I would say that they're in top 5 order. Like I said, again, it was like looking through this and thinking about it. It was like, oh wait, everything has a pet. So really, well, which ones are not the goofiest or that actually have like influenced the plots of the stories and the themes in a positive way? Like there was a lot of stuff that came up, whether it be like Scrappy Doo and Dino Mutt and Snarf and Cringer. And I'm like, those are the worst parts about those shows. So,
there's definitely some bad examples of fictional pets in some of these things. Scrappy Doo is an excellent example of that. Snarf, I haven't thought about that in a jillion years. What about Ariel from
like Sebastian the Crab?
Yeah, I was thinking not Ariel, but Ariel the cat. Gargamel's cat.
Cat. Well, no, that's a good one because
that's a good one. It's not on either of our lists
because that actually posed danger. Like the cat wants to eat those Smurfs and will like hunt them like little mice. Ooh.
Like the cat, Ariel, the cat hates the Smurfs more than Gargamel does. It is on neither list, And I don't know the name of the cat in Inspector Gadget because all we see is the metallic
Dr.
arm.
Claus. Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah. I mean, there's so many good examples of fictional pets, but we only got to choose 5.
Man, you just came up with 2 bangers that aren't on the list.
Well, I thought about them and I kept them off my list to see what you would do.
Gotcha.
And then you didn't pick them either, but that's okay. Let's go. I went with more personal, like influential in my life animals, and I'll start with my number 5. Should be no surprise that there's a Buffy reference in here, as you know how important that show's been to my life. And this was important, the cat, Miss Kitty Fantastico, from season 4 of Buffy. This cat was only mentioned a few times, but what's important about it...
I recognize the name because it's a silly name.
Because it's a silly
name. I can't picture it in the show.
Right. So, Willow gets the cat with Tara as their relationship evolves, and then they go to live together. They talk about getting a cat together, and they name her Miss Kitty Fantastico. But the flip side of that is witches need familiars. So it also went along that storyline. It would make sense that they got a black and white cat and had a silly name to it. The cat, runs by the screen a couple times when they're still in college, and then you kind of never hear about it again. For me,
So the cat doesn't have a tragic ending. It doesn't get like sacrificed in a witch's cauldron or anything funky.
I think we're just made to believe that it's there.
Okay.
Yeah, but they adopt Miss Kitty Fantastico. It's their familiar, and it also kind of signifies a next step in that evolving relationship, which at the time in the 90s, early 200s, early 2000s, was one of the first functional lesbian relationships that we saw. And so I picked Miss Kitty Fantastico.
And the glue for that relationship was Miss Kitty Fantastico.
Yes, and then it fell apart.
I love that. For number 5, I had to put this on this because this was what everyone was talking about in the summer of 2025 was Crypto the Superdog. Yes. Crypto the Superdog took America by storm in the new iteration, like we said, with the James Gunn movie and how that all went, because it went from, I feel like Crypto in the comics was always like a yellow lab or a golden retriever, like this very like Americana, dog that could be anybody's dog out in the Midwest, right? There's no reason for this dog to be there. It's an absolute retcon that this dog exists, and it changes origins all the time. Like it came in a separate capsule, or it was a regular dog and then it got kryptonite radiation and so it's a super dog, or it came along in the second ship with his cousin Kara Zor-El and it's her dog. Like it changes all the time depending on what we need there. Sometimes it has all the powers of Superman, including the laser vision and everything, which is just absolutely wild. If anybody's ever had a dog, that dog is not going to be like consciously thinking about the right place and time to use laser vision. It's going to be like bacon torch and just torch your house.
Squirrel.
So that's kind of funny. But what I like about Crypto is there was a spin-off that DC has done for decades where they have like the super pets. And they basically looked back at all the like 60s and 70s where for whatever reason writers were giving everybody pets to put cute animals on the covers of the comic books, I imagine. Wonder Woman had a horse and Batman had Ace the Bat Hound and there was Crypto the Super Dog and there was Tusky the Walrus from Aquaman. And so like everybody had a pet. So what they'll do is they'll take that and they'll be like, oh, no, this is the super pets. And it'll be like a Justice League story, but there's no people
All
in it.
pets.
It's just the pets. And it's like a cartoony, goofy thing. There was a movie in DC's League of Super Pets that was this idea. And it was a movie. It was an animated movie. And it was one of these vehicles of like Crypto was Dwayne the Rock Johnson and Ace the Bat Hound was Kevin Hart. It's one of those movies, but they're cartoon dogs and they got to like break out from the pound and they got to have this friendship and find their costumes and save the Justice. It's really funny and good. It actually is really funny and good. So if you have not seen DC's League of Super Pets from 2022, you can fall in love with all the DC Universe animals.
You know, I kind of wanted to put Crypto on my list, but based solely off of how effective and good and humanizing it was in the new movie. Yeah. So I left it off knowing he was going to be on your list because you've seen Crypto in different iterations than I have. So it seemed pretty disingenuous for me to put him in my top 5 because I only know this version from the James Gunn movie.
The James Gunn Crypto, it's the world's dog. Everyone loves Crypto.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm going to go number 4, and I kind of cheated on this one because I don't know if this counts, but I asked ChatGPT and Google Gemini if it counts, and they both agreed that it would count because the Thing from the Addams Family, but particularly how they use Thing in Wednesday. Yes, the crawling hand, how they use it in the Netflix series Wednesday. Thing really functions just like a pet or familiar, even though it's supposed to be the last remaining part of an actual human.
I was wondering about that. Do you get an origin of the Thing hand?
I don't know enough about the Williams. I don't know enough about the Addams Family total lore. I know they kind of hint at it in the Wednesday series at some point in the first season that he's part of the family. So, but yeah, the way they use Thing in this Netflix series is pretty genius in that Wednesday's been sent to Nevermore boarding school and they leave Thing with her to kind of like look after her and stuff. And so all the kids know that Thing's there. Wednesday's roommate builds a little mini dollhouse for Thing to stay in. And I mean, Thing functions just like a pet. It gets in danger just like you would. A good writer would put your familiar or your pet in danger. Thing gets in danger and gets hurt. And it's really well done. Always such an interesting character in a horror genre type show or comic, but in this case done really, really well as a pet. It functions just like a pet. So
it is a really interesting idea that you don't see anywhere else. It's very, for lack of a better word, handy to have it around because it's small and it's got opposable thumbs and stuff, but also very limited as far as what it can do as well.
And also more advanced than a dog or a cat would have been because they could have done Black Cat. Right, for the Addams Family would be right in canon there. But in this case, because it's a hand and it's got an opposable thumb,
right,
it can do things and think like a human in a way that a dog or cat or other animal wouldn't be able to.
It's going to be one of the only pets on both of our lists that has thumbs. That's for sure.
You're absolutely right. But I went Thing from the Addams Family. Great pet.
Yeah, very cool choice. Very cool choice. Mine is a deep cut. This is for the Dungeons and Dragons nerds out there.
Okay.
There is a character, there is a lore character from the Forgotten Realms, Drizzt Do'Urden. And Drizzt Do'Urden has a, 33 book long series.
Right.
Salvatore's been writing these things for 30 years and he's just pumping them out, right? It's all about, and the edgelords from back in my day like love this, right? He's the dark elf from the Underdark and everything's terrible and evil there, but he breaks out and escapes because he's got a pure heart and he's a good guy and goes out into the wilds on his own. And there's a good chunk of story where he escapes from the city of the Drow and is just like wandering through the Underdark and trying to survive. And you see all the cool monsters and he goes on little side quests with some of the other species that live down there. But before he leaves, he steals a little statuette, a little magical figure of a panther. And so he's got this onyx panther in his pocket. And of course, it's magical. When he speaks its name, Guinevere, spelled all super funky because it's a fantasy book, but it's really just Guinevere, it turns into this big giant panther. You can see the spelling on the thing.
Yeah, I looked at the document real quick because I had no idea that. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, is your spelling on the document correct? It is.
That is lore accurate.
Guenhwyvar. You're telling me that's Guinevere?
That's Guinevere, yeah.
That is the most Gen Z,
right?
Gen Z, if I've ever seen Gen Z.
And that's why I love it. And so he's got this panther companion, doesn't talk, like it's very deadly and it's very big and all this stuff, but it's a cool story as far as like that section of the Drizzt legend where he's all alone but for this magical companion. And they bond and fuse this relationship during that time where they become like this inseparable hunter where each one of them is, an extension of each other because it's so hard to survive in this place. But that character is so beloved, like it continues with Drizzt throughout like all 30 books. If he's in it, the cat's in it as well. And they do, of course, just all the tropes. Like sometimes the little figure gets lost or it gets stolen. And then some bad guy tries to be like, no, you're my panther now because I have the figure and I, whatever. But it always tries to resist. And it just goes along to one of the things where like it's this constant. It can be that Deus Ex Machina, like Crypto can be, where it's like, oh no, what are we going to do? And then the panther jumps out of the tree and wipes out the guy. It's really cool. And so I read tons and tons of those books. Talk about Gen Z. Like I spent the nights reading 20 of those books. And to the point where we had a cat and it was Guinevere named after.
Now I have that connection. I had no idea.
Yes. So it was, everybody thought our little cat, Lady Guinevere, was named after the Arthurian legend Guinevere, which is totally cool as well. But when I picked up that cat from the pound, I named it Guinevere and spelled it in this ridiculous way. So on all her paperwork from the vet, and it was great because it'd be like, oh, it's 5 years later, and I'd kind of forget about it. And the vet would be like, what is this? And I'd be like, Guinevere?
Gwenhwyvar?
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like, Guinevere. And they look at me like, you're a crazy person.
Yes, you are. No one would get that reference.
What if somebody did though? What if at some point some vet tech was like, "Oh my God, did you name your cat after the Drizzt Do'Urden books?"
Is like, Drizzt in the waiting room?
I feel like, did we just become best friends? But it never happened.
And so this panther exists only in those novels. Is there a character as such in any D&D adventure?
When the dark elf character Drizzt is in the adventures, Guinevere is right there beside him. So in the 5th edition campaign they did called Out of the Abyss, which is the Underdark demon lord adventure, there is a scene where Drizzt Do'Urden shows up and the panther's there and they fight the Demogorgon and then you like help him and he's, I don't know, gives you some information or a boon and then fades into the scenery. I believe the same thing is, spoiler alert, he's also in Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden. And so he's in there with his panther as well if you ever find him.
Okay. All right. Going on to number 3, I chose an iconic character. I chose Snoopy from Peanuts. Mm-hmm. I've always been partial to Snoopy. Growing up, I could not have a dog because we lived with my grandparents and they didn't want to deal with a dog. So I was never allowed to get one. And I think that's why as a child, I really formed a personal bond with Snoopy, who just seems like he's the best dog ever. He's so chill and also smart and also funny. But I really loved watching Peanuts cartoons. I really loved Snoopy as a character. One of the first video games I remember playing is Snoopy versus the Red Baron on Atari.
I love it.
Yeah, and I remember having a Snoopy snow cone machine when I was a child.
I was sitting here the whole time like, when am I going to get to talk about the Snoopy snow cone machine? When am I going to talk about the Snoopy snow cone machine?
Which was just this junk plastic with stickers on it that you would put some ice from your freezer in and you would just churn it and then put dye coloring sugar on it. And that was one of my favorite things to do as a kid. I mean, you never get a better snow cone than the Snoopy snow cone machine.
I don't know what magic they had. They put a really sharp blade in that thing. You could never get to it because it was closed in super thick plastic, but that blade must have been super sharp because that shaved ice was so good.
Perfection.
Yep.
Perfection. So Snoopy's the thing. I love Snoopy right now, or at least recently. I don't know what happened with licensing, but on my Apple TV, there's an option for your, instead of like floating pictures, you can choose Snoopy.
There's Snoopy watch faces and stuff.
There's Snoopy watch faces. I haven't gone to those yet, but the Apple TV thing, he moves and does crazy things. Like my dog Tilly will sit there and watch it.
No way.
It's so cool. And just different scenes, different themes, like things happen. Sometimes he's just sleeping on top of his doghouse. And sometimes, not Tweety Bird. Who is it?
Woodstock.
Thank you. Woodstock will fly in and it's raining sometimes and he's got to go inside. Like it's really cute what they have.
Okay.
Sometimes we just have that on instead of something on the television because it's so cute.
I got to change that Snoopy for the Apple TV.
You got to check it out.
Just to see it. Yeah, because I saw the option, but I always have like family pictures on there, like some kind of loser. I didn't know there was cool Snoopy animations I could be looking at.
Well, I found it on accident because I was like, I do my family photos. I do the folders by school year. So I was getting ready to start a new folder and share it with Sarah so she could put in new photos from this year.
The same.
And I saw the Snoopy thing. I'm like, oh, we got to see this. And it's been on this whole time.
That's cool. You know what? Maybe that's like a good option for like the month of January where you're like, okay, like we do ours on the 1st of January is when we switch over to the new year of family photos on there. But like January, there's not very many.
There's no, you're
there's like
looking at the same like 10
there.
pictures.
It's like, maybe there's a couple months of Snoopy. And then once it's built up, you change it back
There
over.
you go. I would highly recommend it.
Snoopy is a chill dog. Snoopy never barks.
No.
He's just quiet and just hanging out. Snoopy?
He dances. He's Snoopy the dancing dog.
I think there's like this change in the Peanuts. Like I think about this too often. In the phase, the whole idea with the Peanuts was like the cast of characters. It was the idea of like, oh, these little kids are talking like adults. And that was like the gag of the Peanuts. And then something happened where Snoopy just lit the world on fire and became the best part of the Peanuts. And it completely changed to just a Snoopy vehicle. And
pretty much.
Probably not a bad thing. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Snoopy, Linus, and Charlie Brown. Top 3 characters that are most prevalent in Snoopy cartoons. And I think you can kind of say the same thing for cartoons that are old, like Winnie the Pooh. There's a whole cast of characters there, but we mostly know Winnie the Pooh. And
there's always going to be like a big 12-minute scene of him trying to get honey and getting his butt stuck in a door. It's the same thing with those Peanuts cartoons. There's like it's like a Snoopy story of him like quietly going through some giant adventure, and then like interstitched there's like one-liners from the Peanuts.
Right.
And then a super preachy, like, religious song at the end for some reason.
Yeah, well, kids. All right, what's your number 3, Rob?
My number 3 is How to Train Your Dragon. What a cool concept this movie was. And it's another one of these things that has exploded, and there's like multiple sequels, and now there's even like a computer generated, they call them live action, but they're not remake of it. But that original How to Train Your Dragon and Toothless is the like black shadow dragon. It's a night fury dragon that is, it's hurt in the woods, like that classic story, right? It's got a broken wing, and the boy comes and fixes it with his smarts, his tinkering tools. He makes a prosthetic wing for it to learn how to fly. He tames this wild animal, and they become friends, and they go on adventures. And it's a very cool classic kids story. And it's such a cute little, like, they do a really good job of like, okay, this is a dragon, but it doesn't look like a Dungeons and Dragons dragon. It looks more like a skink or like some kind of lizard, but it acts like a dog because it'll like roll over and let you pat its belly and scratch it behind its ears that it doesn't have. And it kind of like, it'll even loll its tongue out like a big goofy dog. But then sometimes it's all like sleek and moves like a cat around trees while it's like doing its camouflage thing. It's very intentionally, we're going to take everything people love about cute animals and wrap it into this creature that can be super cute and goofy most of the time, but when it needs to be, it can be a scary looking black dragon.
Yeah.
And they just do such a good job of it. And then that franchise forever, like that was the thing that they knew that they could just keep going on forever, is once they bridged through that first movie that humans and dragons can be friends and pals, then it was like everybody gets a dragon, which means everybody gets a different dragon. And me, I just love monsters and I love dragons. And so like as this movie goes on, like, the stories might be whatever, But every time you're going to see awesome new animated dragons that look really cool. And I love that.
It's definitely not your Game of Thrones dragons, right? They're super scary.
No. They're all a little
beastie.
goofy and they're all a little funky and fun. They're fun dragons. And then as the series goes on, I think even towards like the second one, they do this interesting turn of, like representation for all kinds of people. The main character gets its leg crushed or chopped off or something in the second movie and then has a prosthetic leg. And then that kind of mirrored, like he builds his own prosthetic leg, much like he built the wing for the dragon. And I think later the dragon gets its tail chopped off and has like a robo tail or something like that. And so, no, that's what it is. Yeah. He makes the fin, like the sail on the tail so it can fly again or whatever. So they're both differently abled and there's representation there. And it's like, you're not seeing that in other places, right? It's just a cool, interesting thing that makes it unique and somehow like even cooler that this dragon has like a bionic tail now.
And I can see why it's on your top list where it is because, yes, you love the dragons in the Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, I'm all about the monsters, and that movie franchise will, if nothing else, gives you fun, cool, like brightly colored, awesome, differently powered dragons. It's great.
And it was a book first, right? The movies are based off a book?
Probably. I don't know that much about it. I
actually don't know either.
We watched
Maybe
it when
someone
Andrew
can write it and tell us. All right. Well, going to number 2, I went with Harry Potter. I think there are a lot of animals in Harry Potter. There's a whole spin-off series, the Fantastic Beasts.
And where to find them.
The whole spin-off about cool monsters and animals in the Harry Potter universe. But in this case, Hedwig, the owl, which is Harry Potter's familiar, if you will, because they all get an animal, which is one of the cool things about this universe that was created is that everyone who goes to Hogwarts gets some sort of familiar that's just theirs. And the most common one is an owl. And there's certain types of owls, and his is unique because he's the chosen one and this, that, and the other. His friend Ron has a rat who ends up being a person who's disguised as a rat. That's a whole thing. Some have Phoenix as a familiar. So Harry Potter world really utilizes animals and uniquely created animals. But Hedwig is very, very important. And I think by now most people have read Harry Potter. He has a tragic death in the last book, and it's just really well done getting Harry Potter to fit into this world and having this familiar to help him communicate with people outside of Hogwarts and to have someone help him along this journey of finding out so late that he was who he is. And Hedwig becomes his familiar through that journey.
And is Hedwig one of those characters in the story who knew all along but let him fumble through not telling him the truth of his origin? No? Okay, great.
Harry gets Hedwig when he's shopping to go to Hogwarts for the first time. And so he's learning that all wizards have their familiar. And so that's where he's introduced to Hedwig.
I imagine there's Hedwig stuff everywhere. You could get the Hedwig plushie, and it's the stores at Universal Studios, and you get him on the shirt and all that kind of stuff.
And you can find him randomly throughout Universal Studios and on shirts. And very popular character. And I think they even you can go to a store in Universal Studios that makes it look like the place where Harry got Hedwig from. And there's an animatronic model of him sitting in a cage. But very iconic and powerful animal in those books. And
does he speak?
No.
Okay,
no.
Very cool, very cool.
Nope. But he can understand Harry, and Harry can understand him. Though not they don't go through deep conversation. Like he'll tell Hedwig, like, take this letter to Sirius, and Hedwig will take off. And that's the most common use of the owls, is that they're delivering messages to your parents who are not staying there at Hogwarts because it's a boarding school.
Right.
So.
And we don't have phones in this universe because that would ruin the plots.
Right. You need the animals.
Exactly. And you
carrier
need books.
Pigeons. And you need books.
Right.
Yep.
You can't just have all your spells downloaded on an app on your phone. That's dumb.
Right. And I think you're right. I think the use of owls versus any other animals for this universe was a really interesting choice as well. Wise owls as part of Hogwarts. Mm-hmm. And
do other kinds of characters use other kinds of birds? Like, is there these kind of wizards use crows, and these kind of wizards use ravens, and these kind use owls?
I think any animal is up for grabs, but it's not specifically assigned. Most of the kids have owls because they have a whole owl room that you can go to. And that's where the owls stay and sleep. And when Harry Potter walks in there, Hedwig comes down and does whatever he needs him to do. But they do have folks and characters with different birds, just not very many. And it's not really, I don't recall. It's been a long time since I've read the books now, maybe 6-7 years. I've only read each book once, although I've listened to them on audiobooks a lot. I don't quite recall if there's a connection about the type of bird and the type of wizard. It could be there, or maybe our listeners can help, but I don't recall there being that specific.
Do they spend a bunch of time talking about the owl room and what an absolute nightmare of smells and owl pellets all over the ground?
They mention it a lot because they have to clean the owl room. That's one of the assignments.
Is that a punishment at the boarding school?
I think so.
I think so. Out the owl pellets.
Yeah, it can be loud and it can be smelly.
Oh my gosh. Owl pellets are amazing. Years and years ago, when I was a 6th grade teacher, we would dissect owl pellets.
Oh.
Because if you don't know about owls, they eat prey, right? They eat mice and lizards and all that kind of stuff. And then they have this weird digestion system. And then they barf up their waste in this ball of gross. It kind of comes out like a ball of dirt. And then when you cut into it, it dries out and you cut into it. All of the skeletal remains of the animals that they eat, because they just eat things whole, are in there. So you could take apart these owl pellets and get a mouse skeleton or a lizard skeleton in there.
I had no idea.
It's great fun. You could just order owl pellets from Amazon and take them apart and see what you find. Sometimes you find a skull. Sometimes you'll find just random bones. And sometimes you'll get that jackpot where it's a whole mouse in there.
Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Rob with the fun facts.
Owls, man.
Owls are wild. I had no idea.
Okay. My number 3.
Oh, we're at number 2, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. My number 2. I just wanted to talk about dragons again.
Touché.
My number 2 is also, I guess, similar. It's from a young character, right? The boy king who has this little pet, and it starts off as just, like all stories do. It's an adorable little boy, and his father gives him a pet that is they call him a glow toad. And his name is Bait, and it's this fat lizard that's different colors, because one of the things it can do is it glow toads. It's like a disco toad. It changes colors and it glows and it's all psychedelic or whatever. But Bait is this fat little lizard with this stubby tail and just the grumpiest face. Just the grumpiest little lizard. And this is Ezrin's pet in the show, The Dragon Prince. And so you see little Ezrin and Bait, and they go on adventures where they sneak into the royal bakery and steal jelly tarts or whatever. They'll be sneaking down the little hallway, and the glow toad will glow to kind of light the way so they can see. And then, the baker's coming, and the grumpy toad will change colors, and Ezra's oh, gotta go, and grab his little fat toad and go, and it's all super cute. And then the dragon attacks the kingdom and slays the king, and now the boy has to become the king, and he's too young for this, and he has to decide who his advisors are and who he can trust and who he can't. But through it all, there's little Bait. The fat little grumpy glow toad is just always there, and it serves as this kind of conscience for the boy king. And a lot of times it's just because it's grouchy and doesn't trust anybody. But he'll talk to his pet, he'll talk to his little friend, and the thing just makes noises, right? It's just little burps and grunts and just this grumpy fat little toad. And then it's we don't like that guy kind of thing. But it's just this constant thing. It's super cute. It has all the comic relief moments are usually with little Bait, and it's laugh out loud funny sometimes, because that show is, while it's very fun, it's very tense, and they very purposefully will deal with real life, not real life, but deeper situations than you're expecting from this family cartoon. But the comic relief is always and then Bait rolled over and farted, or some probably not that crude. But yeah, Bait from The Dragon Prince is, God, I think there's 7 seasons of that show now. And
wow.
Little Bait has been Little Bait the whole time. It even when you start The Dragon Prince, and it's a Netflix show, right? So if you think about that classic, the end comes on, and then there's the 2 beats on all the Netflix's show, the boom boom that it always does. In that one, it just says Netflix, and then Bait just drops from out of screen and kind of splats on the ground all fat or whatever, and looks at the camera and goes boom boom. And that's how the show starts.
But they did an opening thing with Thing like that on the Wednesday series too. It's really cute. He's crawling in. Yeah, he doesn't say anything obviously, but That's funny. That's a funny callback. So first of all, the name Bait is just
Yes.
phenomenal.
And they stretch it. I mean, it's like until season 4 where they're like, well, his name is Bait, and hang him off a boat or something.
All grumpy and like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, you just imagine this like fat toad with like a rope around his middle, all just grumpy and hanging there like you.
That sounds amazing. Dragon Prince is on my list to watch, and I still haven't watched it, but
it's so good. I just love it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're at our number ones.
All right.
I think number one for me should not be surprising. Anyone who knows me, I've been a fan of Scooby-Doo since I was a child. Scooby-Doo is super awesome. I think that cartoon goes along with my love of mystery and detective novels and crime solving and all that stuff. And
big sandwiches.
Big sandwiches, right? And, being stoned all the time. No, wait, no, not that. But, solving crimes with your friends and like, I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you kids. Like, yeah, kids can do stuff too. It's like all those things all wrapped up in the coolest dog on the face of the planet is Scooby-Doo himself. Talk about a super chill dog, right? He's there for the food and he doesn't, all like dogs are there for the food. You put a big sandwich in front of Tilly, it's going to be gone if I turn my back. But in this case, is Scooby-Doo is Shaggy's best friend and helps them solve crimes and often is an integral part of finding something. The way they use him throughout the different iterations, comic books, TV show, movies, all the things, he is a smart dog sniffing the ground, helping them find a trail of something or seeking out the spook or whatever it is they're going after and then running away because ultimately he's a scaredy cat, softy of a dog. But even in those more dark, the comics that you bought me.
The Scooby Apocalypse.
The Scooby Apocalypse, all super crazy and dark and much more violent than the actual cartoon. He's still functioning in the same way. He can stand on both feet and put on a costume. And think of whatever you can do with Scooby-Doo. They did it with Scooby-Doo throughout all the different versions of him, including the movies that are super popular with millennials because they were children when that movie came out or when those films came out. So Scooby-Doo is amazing. Probably one of the best animal fictional pets to ever be made.
It's amazing how Scooby-Doo is, like you said, could do anything, right? He could walk on 2 feet. He could put on a costume. He could talk. He could do whatever. But at the end of the day, the very core of him is a treat motivated dog.
Yes.
Just like so many of our dogs. It's like, that dog doesn't want to get up, but if you dangle a Scooby snack in front of him, he'll get the job done. And it's 100%. And it's so constant that way for decades now. And it's just, and then the voice too. You can't think of Scooby without hearing things like ruh-roh. I can't think of any dog. Like if I ever do what is that dog thinking?
And unlike, like you mentioned with Snoopy's another dog. That was my number 3 that had some sort of change based on popularity. Scooby-Doo's always been Scooby-Doo. Again, you can go through the cartoons in the 70s to the films in the early 2000s to the Scooby Apocalypse comic books. Like Scooby-Doo's the same.
Yeah.
And
they
has
knew
the
what
same
they had.
weight.
It was never like, it's the adventures of the mystery gang. Like, no, it was always
with
Scooby-Doo.
A dog, right.
It was always Scooby-Doo.
Yep. I love Scooby-Doo. I think all throughout until like my junior year in college, I had like a Scooby-Doo themed room even in college. So, and then even I remember my first couple of years of teaching when I was over at Rio Mesa, kids found out that I loved Scooby-Doo and I was given little gifts here and there as kids and families will ultimately do for teachers. And I remember we were in band camp or something around my birthday, like a leadership camp or something. The kids baked a Scooby-Doo cake for me. Like it was a thing for a long time. And I had to like, hey guys, 1, I don't need gifts, but 2, like, we got to stop with the Scooby-Doo stuff. Like all the way through, like probably till I was like 24, 25. And then I started selling a bunch of stuff on eBay. So I had that stuff for a long time.
So iconic about the Scooby-Doo collar. I love seeing dogs in real life, any kind of dog, but like a brown dog with that turquoise collar and the gold diamond hanging off of it is just perfect. I love when I catch those like out in the wild. I'm like, oh, it looks so good. It's that very specific turquoise color that does it. And I'm sure like all that decor that you had a lot of that Mystery Machine turquoise, kind of turquoise blue color.
Yep. Very thematic. Very cool.
Yeah.
I used to go to the WB store when they used to exist just to look at their Scooby-Doo stuff. The WB store.
Remember that?
Yes.
That was a place because the WB had the licensing to all the DC Universe superhero stuff as well.
And Hanna-Barbera. It was WB Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah, of course. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's where you find all that cool stuff. Man, the WB store.
Yep. Long ago.
Yeah. Rest in peace, WB Store. You sure did give us
Rip.
cool Batman coffee mugs and Mystery Machine
Scooby-Doo goodies.
diecasts.
All right, what you got? What's your number one?
It will be of no surprise to anyone who has been listening to this show for 5 seasons that my number one is a total cheat, and it's not a pet at all.
Well, my number 4 was a hand, so that's okay.
Good point. I went with the ultimate iteration of what we use pets for in fiction. Child character or any character will have a pet in fiction because it's something to bounce ideas off of. It's something to talk to when you're all alone. It's something that helps. You don't need another character in the story or another person character to have a conversation with when you have a character working out their feelings or their thoughts and emotions by bouncing it off an animal that's not going to talk to you or something like that. But that animal often gives you that wisdom or often points the character in the right direction or often, helps that main character come to the conclusion to do the right thing or whatever in the first place. In the novels and in the movies and in the shows based around the property, His Dark Materials, or lots of people know the first book, The Golden Compass.
Right.
In this universe, everyone has an animal companion, and that animal companion is called your demon, and it's basically your soul. It's this outward reflection of who you are on the inside that's always around you, and this constant companion. It's basically a representation of your inner monologue and personality, but on the outside in a cute little animal, which is amazing. One of the big points of the story, The Golden Compass, is where you follow a little girl, Lyra, and her demon is Pan. And Pan has a longer name. Everyone calls it Pan, and it's really like Panthanophlodontalus or whatever it might be. But
okay.
it's Pan. And as you're a child and you're growing and changing and learning, your little animal companion, your demon, changes as well based on who you are that day. Because kids swing wildly from one day to another. Yes. So sometimes it's like a little weasel thing. Sometimes it's a little flitty bird. Sometimes it's a cat. Sometimes it's a hunting cat. Based on what's going on in the story and how Lyra is feeling and what she's going through on the adventure, her demon, the physical representation of that change and who she is, changes along with her. And it's so cool. Like, I've always really, really loved that idea. And as they go through and they meet different characters, it's always like, oh, okay, well, what is the demon of her father is this like giant snow leopard. And the demon of her mother is this like clever, conniving like monkey. And it tells you about the characters. Like, a lot of the soldiers and like super cops, their familiars are like Doberman Pinschers and German Shepherds and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's they're very much a type, right? That you go to because it's telling that story. So everyone in this universe has this pet for life. That's the other cool thing about it, is it's like this magical representation of it. It's not like, you get a dog and you're going to have that dog for 10 years. It's like, no, this is a thing that you develop from birth and it's with you until death. It's your inside, but it's in a cute little animal. So I love that story. I've always loved that idea of what do these people look like? Anybody you meet, who are they really on the inside? And what if everyone just walked around with that on display in a metaphor that was an animal? Like, it's just wild to me. I love it.
What a great and unique idea, and it's different, and it's something that kind of exists in society with people who, like, you don't have a poker face, they wear it on their face how they're feeling. But this idea that as children it changes and morphs because they don't know how to regulate their emotions. And there's so many neat things about creating something like that in this world.
Yeah. So I love that universe. If I'm thinking about characters that have pets or animal companions in the thing, that is for me the pinnacle of what a cool idea for injecting these animal companions into your story and into your universe.
That's such a good call. What a good list, Rob.
You too.
Well, I'm surprised neither of us there's one I think we're missing that was influential to both of us, and I'm actually surprised it's not on your list. Do you know what I'm thinking?
If you say Flash the Bloodhound from Dukes of Hazzard.
Listen, y'all, that was best friend telekinesis, because we did not plan that at all. So yes, I'm like, neither of us put Flash from Dukes of Hazzard. Now, granted, we can say a lot about Dukes of Hazzard. It doesn't age well. It had a lot of stereotypes and things that would not be made or in existence today. And, you know, the problems with the Confederate flag. Ultimately, we can forgive. It's a story about these two boys who got themselves into trouble, and they live in an area where moonshining is still illegal, and they still do it anyways, and they break the law. And realistically, they have the crooked sheriff and the crooked mayor, and who's neither. There's no redeemable characters, right? Uncle Jesse's a criminal.
It's true. You're right. They are. But, are the Dukes of Hazzard anti-heroes?
They're anti-heroes. Yeah, they are.
Before they were grim, before anti-hero meant like grim, dark, and bloody, they were the ultimate anti-heroes.
They were goofy 70s anti-heroes, anti-establishment, down with the man. But in this case, the man was actually corrupt. So out of all of those non-redeemable characters, you have some amazing car stunts, which is what made that show what it is. You have Waylon Jennings with the theme song that's iconic. And then you have the Bloodhound Flash, who did nothing to the plot lines.
No.
Gave nothing but existing and giving you, I think, humanized.
I was going to say, I think he was there to humanize the sheriff.
Yeah, a little bit, to have Flash, but not on either of our lists. And I wanted to see if you would pick up what I was putting down. Best Friend
really
Telepathy.
Funny. Nope, got it in one. Of course. I love that stupid dog is so dang cute. Like, I want a bloodhound, but I don't think I really do want a bloodhound. I think they're a very high maintenance dog.
They are. Man, they have a lot of health issues all the time.
Yeah, it would be really fun to hang out at the brewery with your like big old floppy bloodhound, and or you know, like the big old bloodhound hanging out the window, all slobbery,
all the floppy ears, and
The puppies are so cute too. Oh my gosh, a bloodhound puppy is like the most adorable thing. Its ears literally dragging on the ground.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Flash.
Rob, it is season 5, and we get to go to our favorite segment, our fans' favorite segment, and you get to start off this season with, what's the nerdiest thing you did this week?
We had an amazing week for Nerd Best Friends, because this week, my nerdiest thing I did this week, and obviously we record a little earlier, so this was a few weeks ago, but it was this week for me. In fact, it was last night for me. We had a Nerd Best Friend patron meetup.
What?
This is the 30th anniversary of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie from 1990. The Corey Feldman vehicle, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
With
the first time we see April O'Neil as a person.
Yep. And the big rubber costumes, the Jim Henson masks with all of the little expressions and servos and things in them, moving the lips all funny and whatever. And they were showing this movie in theaters for one weekend. And so every patron who lives in a 40-mile radius of me, which are like 4 people, it was... It was Maria, listener Juliana, and listener Ismail, all met up, and we went and watched the movie in the theaters, the whole big screen experience. It was amazing. It was so much fun. One, it was fun to see that movie again, because that's a movie, like, it's old, and, like, we all saw it, but, like, I'm not gonna go stream the Ninja Turtle movie on my computer or whatever, but to go see it in the big screen was, like, it was so cool. And you know what else was really funny about it? Like, it's a good movie.
Is it?
It actually is.
I don't remember much. I remember going to the theater in 1990 to see it, and that's probably the last time I've seen it.
Yeah, and I remember, like, not caring for it then because I was so used to the cartoons and the comics, and it's different for sure, but they do, like, everything that's, like, core to the story is there, and looking at it now, it's that era where everything in New York was, like, dirty and grimy and dangerous and dark. And they do that in this movie. It's also one of those things where like it would never look like this today because the people look like real people, right? Like April O'Neil and like Casey Jones and whatever. Like, sure, they're like good looking people in 1990, but they're not Hollywood perfect like we see everybody now, right? They look
it would be like cast in a way that it's like,
right.
I'm just trying to think of someone off the top of my head, like Brad Pitt as Casey Jones.
Sure, some young, like, whatever, just absolutely.
Tom Holland.
Or,
Timothée Chalamet as Casey Jones.
No, because Casey Jones is like a fighter. It would be John Cena. John Cena would be Casey Jones today, right?
Good
so like, and that would be stupid.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And what's her face that played Barbie would be April O'Neil, right?
100%.
Right?
Yes, that's how they would do it. And it wouldn't be as gritty. It wouldn't be as realistic as these people tromping through sewers and all this kind of stuff, but totally fun. Really weird choices though. There are people in that movie doing work. The martial artists they have in those giant heavy hot rubber suits flipping around and doing the kicks, like it's really good. But for some reason, underneath every action scene, there's like circus music to make it all like silly and goofy. Like there are people doing kicks and flips and swinging and like real work with swords. It's like, what? What a choice. It's so bad. And there was a ton of Three Stooges references. Like the whole time, the turtles are literally going like,
they're goofy,
yuck,
right?
Yuck, yuck, and like stuff like that. I'm like, yes. You know what kids in the 90s loved? References to Three Stooges, apparently.
Well, we were watching it black and white on Nick at Night. So yeah, it made total sense that they were going to throw it in there.
So I would say it is a bad movie, but it was so good to watch it on the theaters. And then of course we all came out. We took a picture that will be posted on, that you would have seen by now, probably on social media. We stood out there. We talked about the movie and stuff for half an hour, in the lobby with all the Nerd Best Friends crew. What an amazing time. Totally nerdiest thing I did this weekend. Super, super.
What a time to be part of the nerd herd.
Yeah.
35 years. That's wild.
Yeah. August 1990, that movie came out.
Wow. Sorry I missed it.
Well, it would have been quite a drive. Speaking of which, they did another one. They're doing the Batman, the Michael Keaton Batman, and it's a double feature, 1 and 2. But like the closest it is to me is Los Angeles. And we'll see.
Let's talk about it because that makes it an easy fly for me to go meet up.
Okay.
So let's talk about it. Yeah. They're starting to do that a lot, which is cool. I think the other thing that's cool is wherever you are, having your local Philharmonic do a showing with the light, right? Like I did that Back to the Future and it was like the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. So that's also really good ones that are coming out now too.
I missed the Into the Spider-Verse one. I even had bought the tickets to go down to LA and watch the movie with the live orchestra play. And that music is so like wild and new. I couldn't wait to see it.
Cool.
But something happened and I had to give my tickets away. Well,
next time, Gadget.
What is the nerdiest thing you did this week, Analese?
All right. Well, I mentioned it earlier because I talked about Thing as my number 4 choice as a top 5 fictional pet, but I finished the first half of season 2 of Wednesday, and I'm a big fan of Jenna Ortega. I think she was, just like I think Tom Holland was born to play Spider-Man, I think Jenna Ortega was born to play this modern adaptation of Wednesday. I mean, she's just perfect at
Literally
it.
perfect.
Tim Burton handles and Tim Burton handles obviously it's not following Addams Family canon because it's all about Wednesday as a teenager going to this boarding school called Nevermore, and all of the horror tropes that Tim Burton's pulling out of the woodworks. It's like Hogwarts on speed because you have your werewolves and you have your sirens and you have all these different types of, they call them other, right? And Wednesday being part of that. And also she's crime solving. Both seasons are wrapped around a mystery, and that fits, again, Scooby-Doo fits right into this mystery crime that I've been a fan of for some reason since I was a child. So I really love this series. I think they did a good job with the start of season 2. Season 1 it will be iconic for a very long time, if not ever, how good season 1 is. Obviously, they have to move to the next adventure or the next mystery, which has started. And the way Netflix is doing things with this show and Stranger Things is you got the first handful of episodes and now you got to wait like a month. And so sometime in September this month, sometime end of September or October, right around Halloween is going to be the second half of the season. So
they got to keep those subscriptions,
I guess. They're doing the same thing with Stranger Things. The final season of Stranger Things starts like, I think it's Thanksgiving and Christmas or New Year's or something like that. So yeah, they're keeping me strung along at least to watch these. So
that's great.
Nerdiest thing I did this week was watch the first half of Wednesday, and that was purposeful. Like, I'm going to sit down and watch this, and Sarah's into it, so we made appointment watching to get through those first 4 episodes together. And I nerded out about how cool it is.
Everyone who watches the show says that it's amazing. I have not seen it yet. My family watched it, and it was the same thing for them. It was appointment viewing for them. Like, oh, Dad's off playing D&D on Monday night or whatever. We are going to watch this show together. It's funny, in the notes, it was a typo. You said you had finished watching season 5 of Wednesday. And I was like, there's 5 seasons of that show? I'm never going to catch up. I was definitely going to watch it.
But no, the season 2, yeah, that was just me thinking about season 5 of Nerd Best Friends.
I'll tell you what I do know about season 1 of Wednesday is it ends with this incredible, I think, cello-driven cover of Paint It Black by Led Zeppelin. And it's on that soundtrack. And I have that song and I love it. Weird connection. 2 years ago, after that show came out, when the LA Kings were in the Stanley Cup hockey playoffs, you know, they always do, before the game starts, there's like a huge light show and spectacle to get everybody hyped up for the game.
Right.
And they had a live orchestra, like a little small, like quintet or whatever on the little like stage up there. And of course the lights are down and they're doing the thing and the montage of the sports moments are going up on the screen. And they did Paint It Black, that version of it with like this cello lady up there with like the electric cello doing the thing. And then the trumpet player and the violinist were in the crowd coming down the hallways with like mics as it like crescendos into like the really like, and I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking of it. It was so cool. And so that came out of that show. That's super awesome cover.
And they do a couple of cello covers in both of these seasons so far that are just...
I gotta dive deeper in.
None as cool as that one. To me, that's like the end of the last season of Stranger Things with Eddie playing Metallica, right? Like super ingrained and like goosebump giving. There's scenes in the first season of Wednesday where the headmaster makes her play with the marching band and they're playing Don't Stop by Fleetwood Mac, and it's all like poppy, and she's super miserable playing this poppy tune. So they use it a few different ways it's pretty phenomenal.
That's awesome.
It's a good one to catch up on, I promise you. Season 1, so good. Grab your pudding and put Louie down, because next week we're diving headfirst into the glorious absurdity of The State. This MTV sketch comedy gem from the 90s gave us some of the most off-the-wall characters, quotable catchphrases, and a comedy legacy that still echoes through your favorite shows today. We're bringing the nostalgia, the nerd-stalgia, the deep cuts, and yes, you're going to want to dip your balls in it. Before you go, hit that follow or subscribe button. Drop us a 5-star rating if you're feeling the nerd love. Find us on social media at NerdBestFriends or email us podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. Help us grow the nerd herd and keep the geeky goodness rolling. Season 5 has begun.
Sounds like next episode's going to be really funny, Analese. I can't wait.
Gosh, it's going to be amazing. We are on weekly episodes, so guess what, nerds? We'll see you next week when we're talking about our nerd series of the season, MTV's sketch comedy from the 90s called The State. Go watch it. Go find clips if you haven't seen it before.
Thanks for listening.
Next week, nerds.
Dying over here for some reason.
No, you're good. It's you're getting the dust out, the podcast dust out of your...
That's right. Clearing out the
off
podcast
your vocal cords.
Cobwebs.
Grab your pudding and put Louie down, because next... Got him. All right, let me try.
My God.
You might want to mute for a second, because there's more references there, and you're going to die.
That got
him.
Grab your...
Rob is still laughing, by the way.
My gosh.